So today in Paths to Publication, we're going to be taking a look at a paper that is in progress, and we're going to, I don't have a PowerPoint, but I want to talk you through some of the things. We'll go back in the history of this paper and take a look. If you want me to look at your paper, I can pull that up and we can take a look at that as well. You know, I have permission to pull this one up. So we'll take a look at it, and we're going to look at the journal to which this one is being submitted or will be submitted. So it's not quite ready yet. It's almost ready, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up, and then we will. I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to take a look at the root cause paper. Let me see if I can get that pulled up. This is a paper that Hamada, is this the right one? Yes. Okay, yes, so we're looking at root cause analyses. So if we look back at this paper, we've been working on this paper for a while now, for like years, but we sort of settled on some things on this particular one. We do have an RCT in this particular grant, and beginning with the school enhancement project. So then it turned into A+, and it's continuing. We don't have a root cause this year, but we will be publishing this particular root cause analysis. So anyway, what I wanted to first mention to you is to notice that we don't have the names in here right underneath the title yet, but there will be names under the title, and there will be numbers on those names. So there'll be a 1 or a 2, or a 1 and a 2, 1 comma 2 on the names. So for example, I might put so I would put a 1 and a 2 with a superscript there. So I want to show you how that's done. And then we would put the next person. So we would do it the same way, and we would go across in however we're going, whatever order we're going to use. Okay, et cetera, et cetera. So that's that. Then there are author notes, and all author notes need to have these. We're trying to get all of our authors. We haven't finished this page yet, but then the so we have to have ORCID numbers. If you do not have your ORCID number, this is a new APA 7th edition formatting. We have no known conflicts of interest. There's also a spot here where we put in where the grant, this research was funded by whatever it is, okay? And we have to put that in. Now this is cover page, so you actually can put in the grant and the grant number that it was funded. Every research piece that we're working on right now is from a grant. So this is like the beginnings of a front page, and I wanted to share with you what that's going to look like, okay? Let's see what I've got over here. So I'll say something like, right now, I've asked Dr. Tong and Dr. Lara to go in and to review this, ready to review, and so it's been assigned. We had talked about sending this because to an editor. There is an editorial service beyond us, and that is with Taylor and Francis has one that we could get that done for. I think this particular paper, because it is so long, it would probably cost about, how much was that, Hamada, that we figured that it would cost?
I think 980 something, Dr. Irby.
Yeah, 980 for this review. A lot of people do get their grants and their papers reviewed, actually. I know in EPSI we've had, I know Dr. Simmons, Deb Simmons, when she was here, I know she would get those papers reviewed. I don't know if Dr. Tong's on or not right now, but I do know that they were getting things reviewed, so they would get papers reviewed, and that's perfectly fine. We also have the Writing Center that can as well. Okay, so that's the first page, and I just wanted to note that for you. This title has changed a number of times, so you want to make sure that your title, your purpose, and your research questions are all aligned. Okay, they all have to be aligned. So make sure that whatever you say in your title, you've got in your something like that in your research questions, and the research questions actually turn to the purpose. Or if you write your purpose first, then you get your purpose from your research questions from your purpose, excuse me. So enhancing instructional leadership for school improvement in turnaround elementary schools. Evidence from external longitudinal root cause analyses. Okay, so here's the problem here. I mean, we typically in our projects we don't use turnaround. However, in the literature, turnaround is used, and so we decided we use school enhancement in our projects. We want to enhance the schools, not to particularly turn them around. That seems like they're really going in the wrong direction, which they might be, but we talk about enhancing what's already there and improving that. And we have turned around schools with the collaboration with the school districts in the randomized control trial. We did turn around schools, and so we have great success. Currently, we're working. We have Elsa. Is Elsa on here?
Yeah, she's there.
Yeah. Elsa is in charge now of component 5, and so she's working in the schools as well as Dr. Etchels, and we are working on the turnaround schools for continuation grant with A+ with urban schools. We have 5 urban schools, and then for the renewal, we have 5 rural schools already. So we are initiating that. That will be all the root cause, again, these root causes, but we will be done in January. However, this is not now it is not a randomized control trial because we've already had that. We've had success, and we need to get that published, and we will. Anyway, I would ask Dr. Etchels to pull up that slide and the packet that we do. There's a slide in there that says the differences, but at any rate, let's go ahead. So then we have the abstract. We have there's also a running head as well, and you'll see that up here too. Now, the running head and the page numbers are up here in the top right. Right now in Google Drive, it's really hard to do that. So we'll pull it down at some point when we're about ready to send it out. We'll pull it down, and we will make sure that there are no extra spaces and everything is good. I'm going to move that to 50% so that you can see it. So that we will, can you all see that? Or you can make it bigger, I think, on your screen with the plus and minus.
If you could make it bigger, Dr. Irby, that would help. A couple of folks are saying they're struggling to see it a little bit. Just very briefly, you can use the detached cameras that's in to the right of your screens, where you see you've got a camera to take a screenshot, you've got plus and minus, you can make your screen bigger, make your screen smaller, and then you can detach the cameras, and that will make the screen sharing full screen. So there's a couple of options there. You can also grab the little gray line that's at the top to make the cameras bigger or smaller, and that will make your screen bigger as well. So you've got 3 choices.
Is that better, everybody?
Yes, that's better.
Yes. So yes. So here's another thing that I want to show you. So if you'll turn on the suggesting, that becomes like track changes. So we use that. Okay, so I'm suggesting now. So in the abstract, you also use we. I'm just looking at this. There's another thing here. So what we would do, what would we do with this? Okay, so we're going to change that to we. So again, in the abstract, we'll continue to use we. We use first person. It could be I if it's one person. Okay. So one thing that as I mentioned in the earlier meeting about things, this is data were, but sometimes I'll see data was in a lot of different things. So I mean, it's not here, but anyway, that's the abstract. And then there'll be a new page. Of course, when we pull it down, there'll be a new page here, and it'll go to the next page. But at any rate, I don't even see that. Yeah, okay, like that. So then we have introduction. Okay, so when I look at this, what we want to do is we want to start out with what is about turnaround schools, and you have to lay your background. You have to give the reader the background of this, whatever we're about to start talking about. So the thing is about turnaround schools. So we want to begin with talking about what is in the literature related to turnaround schools. Give that background. Give the reader the context of what we're going to be talking about. So that's what we do. Now, if I go back into this original work, wait, where do I find those previous ones? I forgot where it is. The prior, where are prior ones, y'all? I forgot where I'm looking. I usually look prior, the previous papers.
Yeah, it should be at the top in the middle, Dr. B.
And those three dots, Dr. Irby, you can see editing. Yes, that one.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So we could look. Okay. Where are they though? I don't see.
It's that second squiggly arrow down, Dr. Irby. You're on who's the document shared with, and you're looking at
your trend. Okay. So so you can see how, there've been pretty much 2 viewers working on this document. So the 2 viewers that have been really working on this document have been Hamada and myself. So in the last 14 days, or I guess we could go further, in the last 30 days, so you can see what that is. The comment trends, you can see. I want to just say that, but there's a way that I can actually see the actual paper, because that's what I wanted to go back to from the beginning.
Yeah, Dr. Irby, go back to the editing. Close this, and then if you may like enlarge this page and say editing. Do you see those 3 dots on the right side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see like editing thing? This box in the top. Oh, and no, it's in the right side. Very right. I think you need to make it a little bit bigger, this page, so you can see it. Yeah. So if you go up, right now, not this one, Irby.
Well, you can see comment history.
Yeah.
But you can't see
the piece.
Yeah.
The piece that you're looking for is
Yeah.
this.
Do you see this editing word? The word say editing. Click on the arrow next to it on the right side. On the right side.
I'm sharing my screen now, Head, but Dr. B, you're looking for this part here. That's next to the help. There's normally was last edit was made by, and then it will tell you who it's made.
If you click on that,
Well, I don't have that on mine, see?
Interesting.
Did I undo it?
Go ahead and share your screen again, Dr. Irby.
I did. So anyway, my whole point, I wanted to go back through and show you some of the edits that we've done. That's why I was trying to get, and I've done it before, but I can't seem to find it right now.
It's probably under file, previous history or something like that. Version history.
Thank
See
you. That's
version.
where I've been looking before. Yes. Okay, so that's where I've been looking before. Okay, so thank you so much. So this is the whole version history. Yes. So that was today, but but then I don't see okay, that was as of today. All right, let me go back to the very beginning. This was 9/25 when we really started working on this a pretty good bit. So it hasn't changed much up there. A lot of the pieces down in this part, though, in the literature review has changed. You'll notice that this is a pretty hefty, lengthy paper. We were looking at several root causes and going to put them in there, but we decided just to go with just one, and you'll see like some things that we've worked on. You can see these things we've worked on. Here's a mistake that we had, and we've been working on this and trying to get it to the right point. In addition, this is probably, and I haven't looked back up at the headers, we've probably changed these headers because this is an APA 6th edition header issue, and we have changed that to 7th. Those are just structural kinds of issues, you know, so you'll see the difference, and I'm going to go back to the main one, but you'll see how long this paper is, which brings me to another issue. We decided to go with just 3 of the schools over time because those 3 schools in the treatment had been having this going on, and so that is correct. There's an italicized but no period we worked on. So those are just some initial kinds of things we did. So there were 3, and so we did it with just the 3 schools, and we're reporting out on 3 schools. So this was sort of a beginning and an initial look, and then we got deeper and we began to look further. Let me see. We also added some things for 3rd round. We also added some things on the RCA for each of the schools for achievement, and then we have the discussion. So it's taking a good bit with 3 rounds. So this presents a problem, right? Because most of the journals are like 8,000 words at the most. So right now it's at 43 pages. You'll see the difference once we get back. Let me go back now. I do not want to restore that version.
Don't ever.
What happened? I'm sorry. What?
Don't ever press that button, ever.
Which one?
The restore previous version.
No. Okay, so we're back at this one, and you will see there are 68 pages now. We're still going to go in and work a little bit more on this, right, Hamada? We're going to cut a little bit and try to, but this is with the references. So you'll see there are many more references. We've put in references, and notice, let me see this. We've put in references. We are putting in references for the journal that we're going to submit to. Now, I mentioned that the journal was an issue. There are some issues with our journals. See, our journal names would begin, that would be an L, and an M capital. I just saw that. So we would be adding, we haven't gone in and edited this part yet, but we've just put in our references. So all of our journal names are always capitalized, you know. Titles are not, of books are not capitalized, but okay. And neither are the titles of papers capitalized. So like if you're in, Hallinger is in this particular book, we would have to have the editors. So, you know, it might be Smith. I'm just making this up, so I'll highlight it. It might be S. Smith, editor. So that's the way that would look, okay? I'm going to highlight that because that's not correct, Hamana. I'm sorry, just highlighting it. We've not gone in and worked on these. I'm just noticing some things as I go through and just telling you. Okay, now let's go back, and I want to go to Springer. So here's the Journal of Educational Change. So this is about change and about changing schools and about how these schools did change. And there's evidence that we have of educational change. So it's a good paper. You know, it examines social, economic, political forces driving educational change, and this does. So we're hoping that this would be a good location for it. And the reason is because it has a really good impact factor. You can see that from 2019, has lots of downloads. You can see that. And, you know, it's a good publisher. It's Springer. It's not a predatory journal. Now, that being said, if you will notice, look at this, fees and funding. So we're going to look at that in a minute. But you look at submission guidelines next. And so what I want to show you is where online manuscript submission, presentation, here are the page numbers. So here are figures, color figures, language, manuscripts. We keep on going down. We looked and we looked. We'll keep looking, and we'll be double checking this again before we submit. Where's the page number, Hamada? I know it's here. Proofs, off prints, page colors, copyright permissions. Anyway, let me just tell you, you look at that.
They didn't mention a word limit, Dr. Irby, and the papers we examined published in these journals are lengthy ones similar to ours.
Yes. So I think that was the reason that we went with this one, that there is no page limit, but I thought that I read there was no page limit. So there is no page limit in this one. So so we can do that. So you want to read all of this information trying to find the right paper, but the right journal for your paper. But the best thing for you to do is to actually ensure that you've got just about 8,000 words or so, you know, so that'd be always the best thing to do. Then we look at, you know, ethics and disclosures. We look at fees and funding. So there is a fee associated with this. So you can take a look at that. Always take a look for how much that's going to cost you to publish in the journal. Even though, like Sage Open, I think that there's one that, or one of the, Donna, are you on, Donna?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So Donna submitted about a few weeks ago to a professional. What was it that we submitted to on that one? The Journal of. Anyway, it's got an online version, and so we would have to pay for the online version. So.
And Dr. Irby, we only have to pay if it's accepted, though.
Right.
That's yes.
Mm-hmm. So most of the British, well, in fact, I think all of them, there's a rule or a law, I think, in United Kingdom, I think it is, that you have to, I mean, these have to be fully open access. So all of their work, their research has to be. So that's why you'll see most of the British journals that are based there, they have the open access, and they even talk about open access. Okay. So there's the pounds that I think it's pretty expensive, isn't it? But anyway, we need to, we'll have to look at that, and we don't mind to pay if it is something that we have a little bit of money that it built into the grant for publishing. So we want to make sure that we do publish in as much open access as we can, but in excellent publishers and as well. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to share with you about the fees. We do have some places where we can. Why is that like that? Now I've got to find my paper. Okay, so those were some tips that I wanted to give you, about that. But it's you saw all of the activity that we had done over the since September, just September. This has been being worked on before then. But if you actually looked at the last September, you can actually go in there and look. You'll see differences in here in this paper and the other papers that we began with. You'll see it's very, very different as we go through. So remember your purpose, and this is the purpose, and there are three pieces to that purpose. So I should see about 2 or 3 questions in there. We'll look at that in a minute. But when we get to the literature review, we talk about how we did the literature review. You will need to talk about how you did the literature review. So what were your databases? What were the search terms that you used as well? So we looked at 9 categories of the literature review, and then so we're setting this up for the reader. We're setting it up. We're telling the reader we're going to be talking about these 9 things you should be able to see in your in this review of literature. You're guiding the reader. This is the advanced organizer. So you're guiding the reader. One thing that in the root cause analysis, there are some things we're going to go back and look at, right, Hamada? Because in the root cause analysis, there are 9. Are these the 9 categories right here? Yes, they are. Right?
Correct. They're the 9 domains.
Yes.
Yes, we will be working on these titles, Dr. Irby. Yes.
Yes. So we're still a little bit working on this, but we do have to have some things also on RCA and school context. We have to have something on turnaround problems and challenges. We do have to have that as well. So we will be making a few corrections up there, but we will be talking about that. Then we talk about instructional practices and school improvement, which are 2 of the domains. And then we keep working on that. And then here are some subheadings underneath that area, because that's a side heading italicized. So that means that it's modifying that top one on school improvement, etc. Okay, unity of purpose and so on. So we are working on this. We'll probably restructure this a little bit more as we go through. One of the things that we are also looking for, so for example, if I'm submitting to this journal of educational change, and let's pretend that this one or Backstrom is the reference, I would be expecting to see as the editor that these people who are submitting had actually looked at the journal that they're submitting to. Okay, so for example, Backstrom might be a reference. It's not, but let's just say it is, to the Journal of Educational Change. So you want to have a few references from those journals. So you have to not only do your initial search, as Nahed has talked about in the systematic review or comprehensive review, you have to really go in and see if you can find some papers that are related in some way that you can make a reference to in your paper from that particular journal. So be sure that you do that, because when people are submitting on mentoring to the Mentoring and Tutoring Journal, and it's on developmental relationships or something in mentoring, well, there are a good many of those papers on developmental relationships in mentoring in the Mentoring and Tutoring Journal. But when I see no references from Mentoring and Tutoring Journal, then what do I know? What do I know about the authors of that paper? Anybody?
They just submitted the paper randomly without looking at the journal, without knowing their topic actually, because if they know the topic, they have.
That's right. Without knowing their topic, they had not done their homework. Okay, so you know, I sometimes I reject it immediately. Other times I will say, you know, you need to go in and review the journals in mentoring and tutoring, mentoring and coaching. There's another journal, Mentoring and Coaching, International Mentoring and Coaching Journal with Emerald. So I tell them, you know, or I don't even see any references from there either. I just see the Journal of Teacher Education or something like that. I'm like, you know, you hadn't even looked at the literature in the main publishing sites. So, so this is what I would expect. So in this paper right here, we're going to be looking for that. We're at the point where we're going to go back in and check that now and see if we can find some papers on that. I think Hamada's working on that right now, reviewing that journal. Here, right here, because I'm an author on here, that will become author. See? And because we don't know which author it is, we'll have to keep it at author of 2014 at this moment. So we'll have to fix that. So here's the purpose, and those are that's the three things again. We state that again. So you'll notice there are three questions, and we just are saying the same thing from the purpose statement in the research questions. Okay. So it basically states the same, similar commentaries there. Then you have a theoretical framework. Another thing that I see a lot of times is the theoretical framework is not brought back in for the discussion at all. It's like you just say you're going to do this. You find something really good, you know, Vygotsky or something like this one, and then it's like, okay, but the theoretical framework, and these are theories. Sometimes they're conceptual frameworks as well. They're not theoretical. But these two are theories. So we can call it a theoretical framework. But what happens is a theoretical framework or a conceptual framework is supposed to guide the research. So I want to know how it's guiding the research, you see. And then when you come back into the discussion, how did it support what you were doing? So you got to relate that theory or concept, whatever it is, back. So this is not a copied, and again, when we pull it down, we'll fix this better. So, I mean, and it won't be split here like this because it will never be split. Please note that the figures are all now up at the top of the figure like a table in 7. It's not at the bottom underneath it. So we need to put those, correct those. Now this is a draft figure here that we have of the theories and how they work together related to school root cause analysis and turnaround. And then we have the research methods. So you don't want to put methodology because it's not, it's the methods that you use. So we first begin with research design, okay? So we wouldn't begin with, I'm going to use an interview protocol because an interview protocol, a survey, or whatever is not a research design. So, and probably we would be changing this probably to research approach because it's qualitative in nature. And so we would be using a qualitative research methods, but it's an instrumental collective case study. So that's what we've used. And we'll probably change that right there to approach. And a document, and we probably would say like this, inclusive of a document content analysis, because the document analysis is also a technique that we used within it. So then we talk about case studies and we talk about the collective case studies and then the context and participants. So the instruments, we talk about the instruments, and the instruments you need to tell where you got the information. We're still working on this. I think this one, that's the one we use when we go in. There's a perception. That's the one we use when we go in. There is also one, where's the other instrument, Hamada, that's Dr. Green's instrument?
At the beginning, Dr. Irby.
Which one?
The scan, the environmental scan is one of them.
Yes, but where's the one, the where the teachers complete that, people in the schools?
The survey. The same is there. So it's called, go up a little bit, Dr. Irby. Yes, this one.
Okay, so I've asked Hamada, we need to get the, for this one, it's a survey, so we need to have some sort of reliability, at least an internal consistency reporting on this. So we've got that somewhere. I've got to find it from this, and we'll pull it and put that in here. So we'll have a reliability indicator, at least. Internal consistency is not reliability particularly, but it is helps us to have a more stable or present a more stable type of instrument that we're using. So we've got that. We just have to report it. I'll have to go in and find it. We've got it. But anyway, then we have this. So how is that developed? No, this is this one. I think this is, anyway.
This survey, yes, this is the survey.
Yeah, so maybe it's there. Anyway, we're still working on cleaning this up, but you have to have your more information. We'll have to put more information about this. How is it developed? And we're getting that information from Dr. Green. And he'll be an author also on this and on this paper. And also, I believe Dr. Dean Alexander and Dr. Fuco will too, because it's root cause analysis from the original work that we did. So here's another issue that we'll be fixing, because, you know, the problem with this is there's no one sentence paragraphs. So we'll work on that. But my whole point is that you have to report your instruments. These right now are just in input, but they're not fully developed in terms of reporting the instruments. Okay, so I want you to know that if you're going in, if you see these, if you go in and look at them yourself. So this will be cleaned up some more. And then we have the procedures in context. And then we have the data collection and then the data analysis. So we're still, you see, still working on this. Then the credibility and trustworthiness, since this is a qualitative study, we have to report what we used. Those are done with references. Okay. Let me see this one right here. So here's an issue I want to talk about, because I saw this and was back and forth with somebody, I can't remember who it was, about this. So let's look at this sentence here. Credibility and trustworthiness of the study. The first thing the research team did to enhance credibility and trustworthiness of the study was, it's not this, but was to establish rapport with teachers and the leadership teams in 3 schools. Okay, now I have a reference here that says COPE 2014. So what's the problem with this?
It doesn't talk about specifically about that, yes.
Okay, anybody else?
I think it's the age, isn't it?
No.
Well,
No.
this is telling what your team
Generally
did, not what the
modify
research
the
is
research
saying.
team.
Okay, it's what we did. It's not what COPE did. So this will become no. Okay, that will be no, because that's what we did. That's what we did. The first thing we did to enhance credibility was to establish rapport with the teams in the 3 schools. Okay. If we want them to know that, and that's what we want to say, that's a period. There's no reference on that. Now, I understand what we were trying to do is to say that, you know, COPE 2014 indicated that one way to establish credibility, this is the way you could say it, COPE 2014 indicated that one way to establish credibility and trustworthiness of a study is to establish rapport with teams in the schools, or with people in the schools, if that's what he said, and then, or she said, and I would say, therefore, this was the first way, the first thing that we did in our study, period. That was the first thing we did. So I could change that around, and I can still quote or report COPE, but it's not on what we did. Okay? All right. So you have to be careful with that. I don't know who it was that I was talking to about this. This was a very similar that something, a very similar kind of response to who was I working with on that? Do you remember? Where I was saying it's not what it's at the end of the sentence. It's not. It might have been with Sharon DeMarine. We might have been working on one with like that, but it was very, very similar. So this is
Things
still
and stuff in your papers.
I'm sorry?
You can't use. I'm just saying you can't use the word thing and you can't use the word stuff in your papers.
Oh yeah, well, thing and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. The first step we took. That's good. That's much better. Excellent. So, but the other thing that we did, let me see. I was going to show you this. So, and of course, I mean, this, we're just in draft form still down in here. But as for the one by the research team members, RCI team members, it was the member checking strategy. So we're talking about this, and then we say member checking strategy. And that is a reference to a member checking strategy right there, crafting 91. And crafting paper from 91 is pretty foundational, and you might want to take a look at that paper because it has a lot of techniques for establishing trustworthiness and credibility in your studies, and you could reference that. I think it's very, very good. Maybe it was Johnson's 97. That's Burke Johnson's work from 97. So low inference descriptors we used, and you all know what low inference descriptors are, right? Okay, so low inference descriptors is just like saying what the people said, quoting their quotes. Like participant number 1 stated, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so that like this. It was stated the clear, you know, so whatever they said, those are low inference descriptors. Like this is a low inference descriptor. Okay, so another thing that we will be doing, another thing I wanted to talk to you about is findings. Let me see if results is like that. Hold on just a minute. Go to results. Sorry. Research methods. Oh, that is the findings. Okay. So research methods and then the results. That's it. Results is here. Okay, findings. So we wouldn't just jump from findings and delete all of this. You have to have an advanced organizer for the person who's reading it. Okay, so you don't just jump from this topic of findings, center head, to a side head, typically. Sometimes in methods we do. We just jump from methods to research design or research approach. So, you need to have an intro to your side headings. What is the person about to read? Okay, so then they have the response from the first round, and then there's the second round, and then there's the third round. So those are the findings. Okay, and then there's another research question. So you'll notice we're working still on clarity with the research question. Think research question 2. We've been working on clarification of that research question. That's why you see one marked out and one here. So we're still working on making sure that that's clear. So though we've been working on this for a while, we're still working. It's a pretty involved, and that's why we thought about we'd send it to an editor, and we decided we would just chance it and go ahead and send it to the journal once it's finished and ready to go. So, you know, you can't just put something together and then send it out because it's for sure going to be rejected. It really we need to read it and read it. I mean, we've edited this probably, I'm not kidding you, probably 50 or 60 times, and it's still not finished with our editing work. But you got to get something in there. It's okay. Like these things that I'm just seeing and we're just sort of editing, it's okay. Because you got to get something there written down to even edit from, right? And that's okay. And here's another one. We're still working on that question, making sure it's correct and clear. The intent of the question is not changing. So here's another issue. Some of the journals don't take color. So you have to make sure that your lines are delineated so that you can actually see what's going on here. This is really pretty good for these 3 schools. Look at that. So the district is here, but look where it ends up after the intervention. Really, really good data. And that's not that's not a complicated, you know, that's approaches grade level or above with the years. So that's not a complicated chart here, but it's an important chart, and it's just simply what school districts like to see as well. So it's just percentages of approach. Here's another one. So you see that even with this one beginning down here, by the time the end came, it was at the district level as well. The others were above. So that's good. Good data to report. Same thing here with all subjects. And then you have a discussion of findings. I want to show you that. Sometimes I'll see, and I can see these off-centered things. I off-centered it just to show you. So for me, I can see that that's off-centered. So I would put my cursor there on that, and I can go make sure your ruler is always showing, and I can move that back over to the side, and it centers it. Okay, so that's one thing we want to do. So then we sort of do our discussion, and I don't know what I've said here. So I just ask things, and let me tell you something. I mean, when I ask things, I'm looking at several papers, and there's a limited amount of time. So if I ask you something directly, it's not anything against you or harmful to you. I don't mean it to be hurtful. And I know that our writing is like a piece of us, you know, it's like a piece of us. And then somebody writes like, oh my gosh, you know, you can't say thing in the writing, you know, here's this, you know, don't say that anymore. Don't use thing, you know, in this writing. I'm just using that, Matthew, sorry for the example, but anyway, but you can't do that. So sometimes I'll just say, please don't do this again. You know, please remember this. Don't do this again. And so, you know, because it is frustrating to have to edit the same thing over and over and over when I know that everybody here is really, really smart, and they have the capacity to remember those things much more than I do. Y'all are smart, a lot smarter than I am, and we just need to remember these things. And so
Dr. Irby,
yes,
let me thank you for your patience, Dr. Irby, with me.
Okay.
I know that you repeat things all the time, but I treasure and appreciate the learning opportunity. And all words of thank you are not enough, Dr. Irby. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Hamada. And Hamada has had great pain with me. So, it's okay. And I appreciate that. But so, and sometimes I'll ask something several times. But anyway, so I'm asking him a question. I don't think that was the first cluster. I'm sorry?
Dr. Irby,
Yes.
I wanted to tell Hamada that he will survive. I did.
Yep. Yes.
You checked my
Yes, Dr.
dissertation.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Rodriguez.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And she also gave me a box of red pens for Christmas. So anyway, yes. But anyway, I said, I don't think that was the first cluster, was it? And maybe it was. I'm just like reading along and I'm thinking about it. And I think, thought unity of purpose or something else. We have to bring this to RCA, not only just focusing on instructional leadership. See, so we talk about that. And, I'm pretty direct and, it is the title here I'm talking about because, again, we have to bring the title, the whole concept, the whole purpose, everything back in to the fold when we're talking about in this discussion. So here's another one. I see nothing on RCA, so we're still working on it, and it's okay. And thank you, Hamada, for being the person who allowed me to use your paper here. And so we are, Hamada is replacing some things already. You can see that where he's been working on it. And so I'll go back in now and we'll do some more work and he'll be doing some more work on this. So it's back and forth and I'm saying also here, I give him a reference of something else that I found or thought about that needs to be in here. Here are some other references that I find. And so he's saying, looking up, editing, and adding more references from this journal. He's going to contact the editors to get information on how to submit to them. Please add references I have noted from the Journal of Educational Change. So I looked up some things also in the Journal of Educational Change. Also, here's my other question, the one that I talked about earlier. Have we brought back in the theoretical framework information? And he's saying add more relevant recommendations. So he's making notes to himself as well. I'll say reference. Something I said we cannot say that. What was that? Oh, so here, I really like this, but we really can't say things like in this study, we reported findings of a case study of longitudinal RCAs that succeeded in making this magic. There was something about magic in the top one. Oh, and the teachers did not make the magic policymakers were hoping for. So we're going to be taking out magic, making the magic. So that's not, it's technical writing. So I know that, a lot of times qualitative researchers like to be flowery and sometimes I read qualitative research and I don't know if y'all are like me, but I have to read it several times to even know what somebody's saying sometimes. So anyway, and I'm not making light of qualitative research, please, because I do both, but I'm just saying this is still technical writing. It doesn't matter. And the instruments are important in qualitative research, as important as they are in quantitative research. And if it's garbage in from an instrument that's not, has any validation work done on it or any kind of information regarding reliability pieces or trustworthiness or credibility, even of that instrument, then, then it's garbage in. Because I can't trust your instrument at all. So that's why instruments in qualitative are just as important to talk about and report on as much detail as possible, because somebody might want to use that instrument again. So they'll want to know that to put into their research and contact you to put it in theirs. So, but anyway, we have to be technical in our writing still, in qualitative or quantitative research. So we can't use the words magic and things like that. Like we had one research, forgot what it was. Oh, magic bullet or silver bullet was used in one of our research bulletins, briefs that we did. And so we've taken that down. We're not using those terms, you know, like it's a silver bullet or it's a magic or something. So we need to be careful how we write.
Unless you're quoting right, Dr. Irby, like Lynn Darling Hammond said, I think in like 1990 something, that there's no silver bullet for teacher education in America.
Yeah, and that was a commentary. You know, it wasn't from her research, but you know, I mean, you can have Sergio Bonner, you can have who's the guy who writes the systems theory? Singate. I mean, Singate could say something. You have these people who like Cummins or Krashen or somebody like that who might say something, and Fullen might say something like that. Darling Hammond might say something like that in a commentary, and you could quote that commentary like that from an authoritarian source. But it's better for us not to be doing that, okay, at this point in time. Okay, so then what we're doing here, we try, you know, you want in your discussion to have like the oomph. What is it? I mean, you know, don't just like regurgitate your findings. What you want to do, what is it that you want to come out of this? And we're not finished with this, but see, I've taken out the magic key. So what we can say, key is key for school improvement. So what do we want to really, really say? You know, what is it that we want to come out of this? Is it, you know, is it a new policy consideration? Is it a set of new standards? Is it a set of non-negotiables? Is it I don't know, set of practice recommendations that could be used by teachers or by principals, etc. What is it that we want? And so, you know, that needs to be stated. Now we probably won't end up like, you know, with this, but what we'll probably say is there are 10, you know, there are however many number, 5 major considerations for implementing root cause analysis or whatever it is in schools. So we've got to bring back in what we're talking about and going back to the title. You know, what is it that we were going to do to begin with? Enhancing instructional leadership, which it is instructional leadership for school improvement in turnaround elementary schools. Evidence from, and we'll go back and we'll make sure that that's what we did. Did we do that? Is it about that, or is it about the root cause analysis, or is that the tool? So we have to go back in now. We'll reread it when we pull it down, see if it all makes sense. We may put it back up, go back in and do some additional analyses, or edits on this. So that's sort of a paper, how we do that. Now, ask for any questions that we might have.
There was one earlier, Dr. Irby, about when do you write a number, like 5, F-I-V-E, and when do you write it out as the numerical?
So that's in your manual, and it's in your APA manual on numbers that you can use. But typically, any number below 10 is written out, and above is an Arabic numeral.
Yeah, I've got it, Dr. Numbers is page 178 to 181.
Thank you. Yeah, so you'll find that there. Just go there and follow the rules.
Okay, do we have some questions? I will say real quick, what I do before I submit to a journal is I pull up the journal and some recent papers that were published. And then if I'm not sure about formatting or citing or how to go about writing, like the methods section, things like that, I read through some of the already published journals, papers, all that journal, and see like what's the tone, what's the style, how are they doing it, and then I align my paper to that way of doing it.
Exactly.
And then it's published and you get minimal revisions, or it just gets accepted straight off. So
that's right. Exactly. That's good. That's a good rule of thumb. You know, you want to, and that's why you have to quote somehow. How are they putting it together? You know, maybe this isn't the right format. Maybe even when we go back in and look at that Journal of Education change, educational change, we'll see, oh, well, this doesn't quite match. So we'll have to restructure a little bit again. So it's okay. Now, Donna, when we did the paper, we finally submitted that. It had a lot of edit versions, right?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think probably another 50 again, right?
Yeah, I was like, listen, again.
No,
But
it's important, you know.
it is important. I agree.
Yep. So you want to have your best foot forward going in with these journal editors and reviewers. Sometimes you get good reviewers on a journal and sometimes you get poor reviewers. So I've gotten reviewers who said, yeah, take it, accept it. And then I look at it and it's like, nope. So I reject it as the editor. I usually get another editorial board member to look at it and they'll say no too, and we reject it. And then I get an email back from the author and says, but my reviews were really good and said accept as is or accept with minor changes. And, you know, I have to say, well, you know, it's really not accepted until, and that's a rejection based on the fact that there's just no way to clean that up, whatever it is. It's just going to take too much mentoring on my part as the editor to help that person. I usually do a lot of editing. We have a paper in right now in mentoring and tutoring that's on its eighth resubmission. Trying to help that person, but
thank you, Dr. Irby. You're the second. That's your second presentation for the past publication. We know how busy you are, and we appreciate you giving us your special time for these presentations. And your extensive knowledge is phenomenal. We are so blessed and lucky to have a lead coordinator. Sorry, to have a director who knows so much about publishing.